If you have found yourself reading these words right now, it is not an accident of the algorithm, nor is it a random drift of digital chance. You are here because you have arrived at a specific coordinate in your internal geography. It is that silent, suffocating point of no return, where the noise of the world can no longer drown out the screaming silence inside your own chest. You know exactly what this feels like, even if you have spent years pretending you don't. It is the gnawing sensation that the life you are living, the one you built with such care, the one you polished for the applause of others, does not actually belong to you. It feels like wearing a coat that is 2 sizes too small, stitching that is slowly tearing at the seams, a subtle but persistent fracture separating the person you present to the world from the person who stares back at you in the bathroom mirror at 3 a.m. This is not a crisis of circumstance. It is a crisis of meaning. It is not that you have failed. It is that you have succeeded at the wrong things. You have climbed the mountain only to realize it was the wrong mountain entirely. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist who mapped the deepest trenches of the human soul, identified this phenomenon not as a breakdown, but as a breakthrough. He called it the call to individuation. It is the psyche's violent, necessary demand for wholeness. It is the moment your soul declares a mutiny against the captain of the ship, your ego, because the ship is heading toward a horizon that doesn't exist. This text is not mere information to be consumed and forgotten. It is a mirror. It has arrived before you because your conscious mind has run out of tricks. But your unconscious mind has already made the decision to leave the burning house. Consider the life you've been leading. For the vast majority of modern humans, existence is a performance. From the moment you were old enough to understand language, you were handed a script. You were taught that love is conditional, that acceptance is a transaction, and that safety comes from conformity. You learned to amputate the parts of yourself that were too loud, too weird, too emotional, or too intense, burying them deep in the basement of your psyche so you could fit into the narrow box of normal. You became a good student, a diligent employee, a reliable partner, a pleasant neighbor. You became a functional zombie, anesthetized by the comfort of routine and paralyzed by the terror of the unknown. But the human soul is not designed to be a cog in a machine. It is a living, breathing fire that demands fuel. When you starve the soul to feed the ego, the result is a specific kind of suffering that no medication, vacation, or promotion can cure. This suffering is what brought you here. You might call it anxiety, depression, burnout, or boredom, but those are just clinical labels for a spiritual emergency. Jung warned us that the greatest danger to the modern human is not famine or war, but the unconscious adaptation to the inauthentic. It is the tragedy of living a life that is not yours, and not even realizing it until the weight of the lie breaks your back. When the psyche realizes that the ego is marching toward a cliff of meaninglessness, it pulls the emergency brake. This manifests as the sudden inability to get out of bed, the panic attack in the grocery store, the inexplicable rage at a spouse, or the heavy gray blanket of apathy that covers your days. Society tries to pathologize this pain. It tells you that you are broken, that your chemistry is off, that you need to get back on the treadmill as quickly as possible. But this is a lie. Your pain is not a defect. It is a function. It is a highly sophisticated alarm system. The despair you feel is your soul's way of saying, I will not take another step in this direction. It is a protective measure, disabling your ability to continue living a lie so that you are forced to stop and look at the truth. You are not falling apart. You are being dismantled. The structure you built to survive your childhood and your early adulthood has served its purpose, but it is now too small to house the person you are becoming. You are not sick, you are molting, and so you find yourself here in this precise moment of synchronicity. Jung describes synchronicity as a causal connecting principle, meaningful coincidences that defy statistical probability. When the internal tension reaches a breaking point, the external world begins to mirror the internal reality. You begin to attract the books, the conversations, the videos, and the messages that contain the keys to your cage. This is not magic in the fairy tale sense. It is the magnetic power of the psyche. Your unconscious is actively scanning the environment for the tools it needs to liberate itself. And it has guided your attention to these words because you are finally ready to understand them. You might have scrolled past this a year ago. You might have laughed at it 5 years ago. But today it resonates with the heavy thud of truth. However, recognizing the trap is only the prologue. The true story begins with what you do next, and this is where the terror sets in. The path of individuation, the path back to your true self, requires you to cross a desert without a map. It requires you to withdraw your projections from the world and own your shadow. The shadow, in Jungian terms, is everything you have denied about yourself. Your aggression, your selfishness, your unconventional desires, your grief, and your unused potential. We spend our lives running from the shadow, convinced that if we look at it, we will be destroyed. But the paradox of transformation is that the gold is always guarded by the dragon. The vitality, creativity, and power you feel you are missing are locked away in the very dungeon you are afraid to enter. This is why the process feels like dying. In a way it is. It is the death of the persona, the death of the people-pleaser, the death of the good child who just wants to be loved. The ego clings to the known, even if the known is miserable, because the ego's primary directive is survival. It equates change with death. As you stand on the precipice of this new life, a chorus of inner voices will rise up to stop you. They will whisper that you are ungrateful, that you are crazy, that you will lose your friends, that you will end up alone and destitute. This fear is visceral. It tightens the throat and churns the stomach. But you must understand this fundamental truth. The fear is not a stop sign. The fear is a compass. The intensity of your resistance is directly proportional to the importance of the leap. If you were walking away from something that didn't matter, you wouldn't be afraid. You are afraid because you are about to touch the electric wire of your own destiny. You're afraid because you are about to claim radical responsibility for your existence, and that is the most terrifying thing a human being can do. We are culturally conditioned to wait for a savior. We wait for the perfect partner to fix our loneliness, the perfect boss to recognize our talent, the perfect government to ensure our safety. We wait for permission. We wait for a sign. We wait for a right time. We wait for the right time. But the brutal, liberating truth is that no one is coming. There is no rescue boat. There is no parent who will swoop in and make it all better. The cavalry is not coming over the hill. You are the rescue boat. You are the cavalry. This realization usually brings a wave of grief, a feeling of abandonment. But on the other side of that grief is absolute power. When you realize that no one is coming to save you, you also realize that no one can stop you. You stop outsourcing your authority to a sick society and start listening to the ancient mandate of your own soul. The radical responsibility of the individuation process means accepting that you are the author of the next chapter. It means you must be willing to disappoint others to be true to yourself. It means realizing that normalcy is just a consensus hallucination and you have woken up. This awakening is not a blissful float on a cloud. It is a confrontation with the raw forces of life. It requires the courage to dismantle the false life, brick by brick. This might mean leaving a relationship that drains you, quitting a job that deadens you, or simply setting boundaries that you have never dared to set before. It will be messy. You will feel clumsy, like a newborn foal trying to stand. You will oscillate between euphoria and terror. One day you will feel the rush of freedom, and the next you will be curled up in a ball, mourning the loss of your comfortable chains. This oscillation is normal. It is the rhythm of birth. Do not let the world gaslight you into going back to sleep. The world wants you to remain a consumer, a worker bee, a predictable statistic. It will offer you infinite distractions to numb the ache of the soul. It will give you endless entertainment, synthetic dopamine, and superficial goals to keep you chasing your own tail. But once you have seen the crack in the wall, you cannot unsee it. Once you have heard the call, silence is no longer peace, it is suffocation. You can try to drug yourself with busyness or pleasure, but the soul is patient and it is relentless. It will wait for the noise to die down, and then it will scream again, louder this time. It will manifest as physical illness, as catastrophic sabotage of your success, as a complete leveling of your life structures, until you finally listen. You do not need to know where you are going to leave, where you are. This is the great fallacy that keeps people trapped. They think they need a detailed plan for the new life before they can abandon the old one. But the new life cannot be planned. It must be discovered. It is emergent. You only need enough light for the next step. The path is made by walking it. When you finally stop pouring your energy into maintaining the illusion, that energy returns to you. You will find a vitality you haven't felt since childhood. You will find that when you stop lying to yourself, the universe stops fighting you. The friction of existence lessens because you are finally swimming with the current of your own nature rather than against it. This is the invitation. It is a summons to the hero's journey, not in a movie, but in your kitchen, in your office, in the quiet desperation of your Tuesday afternoon. The dragon is real, but so is the treasure. The treasure is you, the real you, stripped of the masks, the shoulds, and the fear. The treasure is a life that feels like your own, a life where your outer reality is a seamless reflection of your inner truth. So, look at your fear. Invite it in. Sit with it. Ask it what it is protecting. And then, thank it for its service and step past it. The door is open. The chains were never locked. You were just holding them tight. The feeling of impending collapse you are experiencing is not the end of the world. It is the end of the world you constructed to hide in. Let it collapse. Let the false structures burn. Only what is real will remain in the ashes. And upon that solid ground, you can finally build something that will not crumble. The time for waiting is over. The time for pretending is finished. You are not broken. You are waking up. The silence is over. The scream has been heard. Now, the only question that remains, echoing in the chambers of your heart, is not what will happen to me, but rather who will I be when I finally stop being who I was told to be. The leap is yours to take. The water is deep, but it is the only place you will ever learn to swim. Jump.